Welcome back to Sahara TV. Today is Saturday, March 14th, and it's exactly a month away to the anniversary of the kidnapping of the 200 and somewhat girls from Chibok in Nigeria. Today we have a guest in studio who's a strategy and human resources consultant based in Abuja, Nigeria. She's also a strategic team member of the Bring Back Our Girls campaign and the coordinator of Adopt a Camp, a program that seeks to assist internally displaced persons in Nigeria. And also joining us, in fact, she's Bukky Shonibare, and also joining us via telephone from Abuja is the parent of two of the girls. One is Monica, who's 20, and the other one is Sarah, who's 18, who were kidnapped exactly almost 1 year ago in Chibok, Nigeria. So they're going to join us and have a conversation to find out exactly how they've been coping and dealing with this issue. So, Bukky, welcome to Sahara TV.
Thank you, Fungai.
Okay, so now it's going to be 1 year in April, and April of the 14th actually, when this happened. What was your first response, and where were you located? Did you create this Bring Back Our Girls movement? What did you do?
The abduction happened on April the 14th. I was in Abuja when it happened. It happened, of course, in Chibok Secondary School. And the first thing that, of course, there was a lot of skepticism. We weren't sure anything like that could happen in Nigeria. But then it was confirmed, you know, days after from some of the parents of the Chibok girls to say that indeed there's been an abduction. So we were waiting to see if anything could happen, but nothing happened. And when nothing happened, within 15 days, what we did was Adiza Bala Usman, who is the convener of the Bring Back Our Girls campaign, as well as other women, Saudatu Mahdi, Mariam Uwais, Obi Ezekwesili, and several women came together and staged a protest on April the 30th, where we went to the National Assembly. And I was part of that first protest march to the National Assembly to say that we cannot be in a society where 276 of our girls were taken and nothing had been done. 3 days down the line, the defense headquarters came out to say they found the girls, save for 8. A day after, the Chibok parents said nothing like that had happened. So it raised a lot of concerns that something is indeed fishy. So the first thing we did was to go on the street and register our displeasure that we will not sit as citizens, we will not sit as parents, we will not sit as mothers and watch that young girls are taken and nothing is being done. Months before then, in February 25 precisely, 59 boys were killed in Boninyadi in Yobe State. We were expecting that the federal government would use the killing of the boys to pass a statement to say, this is not a society that condones such. But guess what? Nothing was done. In fact, there was no response to the killing of the 59 Boninyadi boys until this year, when the Bring Back Our Girls campaign commemorated 1 year since the killing of the boys. That was when they went to give them money, the parents, a year after. So again, it's to say that we came out and responded that we will not sit in this society and nothing is done when our children are being attacked.
Okay, so now after all these efforts, and it's almost a year because it's only a month away, how has the government responded? Has there been any positive response in trying to recover these girls? I
would say categorically that the response of the government is nothing short of disappointment. We are indeed disappointed that a government that has its primary responsibility as the protection and safety of people cannot protect innocent girls, vulnerable girls, naive girls who are in their teenage years, who are attending a school that is a government secondary school. So the question then is, if a government secondary school cannot be protected, what happens to the citizens? So when we came out and we raised awareness, we started talking about it, we got global traction, people came out to identify with us that indeed we are with you. We expected that based on the spotlight that is on Nigeria as a result of the Bring Back Our Girls campaign, we expected that our government would use that opportunity window to pass a message to the world that, one, we care about our people. And how would that be done? Go to Chibok. Till date, the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria has never gone to Chibok since the abduction of those girls. And he says that going to Chibok would not do anything. That, for me, is the height of insensitivity. It is like a father whose child had been abducted and says that I cannot go to the locality where my child was abducted because it will not bring back my child. For me, that is quite insensitive. So the response first has been that for these people to come out and demand for those girls, it means they are opposition party. That first interpretation of who we were determined the kind of response that we got from them. So they looked at us as, okay, it is political, it is election era, these people are indeed against this particular government. So one, there was denial that there was indeed an abduction. And the question is, if the president and the federal government could deny the abduction of the girls, what do we say about ordinary citizens who also till date still believe that there was never any abduction? So first it was the denial. Second is the insensitivity, because nothing was done. We made noise. One would expect that Chibok would be protected, but what did we see months down the line? Chibok was consistently attacked. You know, so when you look at that and you look at that response, the whole world came to our attention. But what did we do? We kept lying about the situation. We never came out to say the truth about what is going on. We never did enough. Right now, they're now saying that 6 weeks to the election, we are now doing offensive action. Right. And we expect that terrorism will be curbed within 6 weeks, something that has been on for over 5 years, and nothing is done. And we expect that we'll achieve results. So if you ask me, not only in my individual capacity, but as a citizen of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, it is irresponsible, it is insensitive, and we expect much more from a government that has its primary responsibility.
So we have on the phone, direct from Abuja, he's a parent of 2 of the girls, who's Monica and Sarah, that disappeared. Reverend Mark, are you there?
Yeah.
Okay, Reverend Mark, obviously you heard Bukky talk about the efforts that they made. Now you as a parent, your wife Martha, I believe is suffering from high blood pressure right now as a result of, you know, missing her girls. So as a parent, what can you tell us when you first heard about this? You were posted under the Church of the Brethren in Chibok, because you're actually from Adamawa State. So you were posted there and you were working there as the resident reverend when this happened and your daughters were taken. So as a parent, what was your first reaction to this abduction?
Really, our action concerning the adoption is, we are really very sorry to say that the federal government is interested in this adoption. If the government is not interested, I would have to say that they would have to put this problem in control. Because during the regime of General Abacha, he had ever caught a word that he says when there is problem in the country, over 24 hours, the federal government must have a special interest in it. So I simply say that the federal government is interested in what they have done to Chibok girls, because it's the responsibility of the federal government to rescue these girls. But I simply say that he rejected to do that intentionally, simply because of politics, because he has politicized this game, and he don't know it's a slap to the federal government.
Right.
It's a slap to the president of Nigeria. How come you in the office as a president, and you will say that a common ethnic group you cannot control them? I am thinking that the adoption is intentionally by the federal government, because the federal government, we really know that we have trained soldiers in Nigeria, and they are intelligent soldiers. And we believe, had it been The president has given them the order they will have to rescue our girls. But the president has taken this as he has something special concerning that. If not so, I'm not blaming anybody, but I'm blaming the federal government of Nigeria. Because it's a slap to us. And when you see in the whole African country, when there is problem in any country, when they send Nigerian soldiers there, in few hours, they will put everything into control. But how come this terrorism in Nigeria is well over 6 years today? How comes they were able to leave our daughters in government secondary school and there is no security on that day? Even one policeman, we don't have any security guiding the girls. And they were given instruction that whenever they had any problem, let them not leave the compound. Let them not leave their hostel.
Okay, so now...
I think this is something...
Go ahead.
This is something that has been planned by the government to come and kidnap our Chibok girls. So really, I feel very sad. Presently, I am in a kind of problem that I cannot stay in my own town. I cannot stay in my own house. I cannot stay with my relatives simply because my daughter was kidnapped and they are haunting our lives. The lives of the northern, those who are in the former northeastern region, they are rejected by the president of Nigeria. If not so, how come it's only in the former northeast that this terrorism is growing on and on every day? Really, I had wanted the president to do something before he might say something. It's a slap, and I don't know how he is feeling this. Had he been one of his relatives is among these Chibok girls, how will he feel it? There was a time his uncle was kidnapped, but in 24 hours, he made a possibility to bring back his uncle. Does it mean he is not a president of the northern side of Nigeria? Why do he show this partiality? Why do he show this segregation? He is president for every nation, for everybody in the country. Really now, my wife is down because of the kidnap. And not only my wife, most of the parents, we lost over 17 parents that have lost their lives since the kidnapping of these our daughters. We cannot go to the farm. We cannot do any business. We are stranded. They are hunting us as they are hunting animals in the bush. And the president of Nigeria, he says that he had a I don't care attitude. Had it been he care for what is happening in the northern side, he would have to give order to the soldiers to put it in control. Because really, I know our soldiers are trained soldiers. They are able soldiers. They can do anything and put this soldiers into control. But he rejected. We are very sorry for really we that were in the northern side of Nigeria. We are counted as we are not Nigerians.
Okay.
Possible even we.
So, Reverend, I know that we are just like a few days away from election time and also a month away from the anniversary of the kidnapping of the girls. As the part of the parents that lost these girls, how are you feeling and how are you looking forward to this period? How do you expect to commemorate it?
I'm very sorry and I'm very sad, even my whole family. Every day, the junior sister of my children, when we do our morning devotion, they will end up in cry. Even our evening devotion, they end up on cry. My family are completely sad, and all the family of the Chibok girls. And now we have no hope in Nigeria. We are asking if the United Nations will come in to help us. Probably our daughters will be rescued because we are rejected by the federal government. We are pleading for all nations, for everybody, NGOs, federal government, whatever, anybody that will come in and give us a helping hand to rescue our daughters. That's our hope. We have no hope in Nigerian government. We have no hope because we ourselves, we are not safe. We are not safe at all.
Okay. So, Reverend, I'm just going to go back to Bukky right now. So, Bukky, what is your next step? Because obviously everything that has been done has been done. You continue to work. You work with a Dr. Camp. Can you tell us exactly how you've been doing? Because the Reverend is actually displaced.
Displaced, as yeah. And it's really sad when you hear people like Reverend Enoch and several other parents. As at the last time we counted, there were 13 parents, that had died, which is what puts to question some last week or so, the federal government, through Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, went to Chibok to go and lay foundation to rebuild the school. That is a slap on the face of those poor people of Chibok. When you prioritize building the school, you have the audacity to go into that land to say you want to rebuild their schools when their children are still missing. If it was your daughter, would you think that building a school was important? You know, and based on what we do with Adopt a Camp, we've been assisting internally displaced persons, especially in the Northeast. And just like, you know, Reverend Enoch is also a displaced person. In fact, he's been displaced from where he used to stay and is moved to somewhere off that particular location. And our work with IDPs require that we go on the field. And the situation on ground with what is happening with the internally displaced persons is nothing to write home about. It's a disappointment on the part of a nation that calls itself the giant of Africa. We go to the Northeast, they don't have food to eat, they don't have where to stay. You see individuals like you and I take up 30, 40, 70 people, they sleep on their veranda, they put clothes on the floor. Some don't even have clothes to sleep. We go to some of these places, they don't have toilet facilities. If there's a disease outbreak, you can imagine what will happen. Yet, I was on a panel some last week, and the director of NEMA was saying that they are taking care of the IDPs very well. And I asked him, what is your definition of very well? People that cannot eat, people who don't have where to sleep. So the question really is, we need an holistic humanitarian response for what is happening with the situation of IDPs. Because the Almajiri system, these IDPs, they are it's like a time bomb waiting to happen. If nothing is done in terms of an holistic intervention framework, health, education, economic empowerment, basic necessities, food, clothing, shelter, if nothing is done, a Boko Haram kingpin will come, give them 500 naira, give them 10,000 naira, and recruit them. So we are simply setting these people up to be recruited and you know, taken by these Boko Haram members, and they come back into the society and plague the society that has failed them. So the thing really is, does the NEMA system itself, the framework, do we have an humanitarian response that helps us to attend to the issue of internally displaced persons? The parents of the Chibok girls, a lot of them have been displaced. Some of the Chibok girls who escaped, a lot of them are displaced. We have one of them very close to us. Imagine the American government, NGOs, civil society organizations in America are the ones coming to take the girls from Nigeria, bring them to America to come and school. What happens to the federal government? Expectedly, we should have swung into action to say that these are our girls, and let's use these girls as a model of how we care for the people of Nigeria. These people, against all odds, brave girls, courageous girls, they escaped, came back into the system, and the system did not accommodate them. So right now, a lot of them, over 40-something of them, are still there, back home. They are not going to school. Their parents are jobless. They don't have any economic activities. One would expect that the federal government would have a plan in place basically for the Chibok girls and their parents in order to help them bounce back. When the insurgents come, they take their food, they take their livestock. Nothing is done to make sure that that food is given to them. But what do? They use them for photo. When Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala went to Chibok, the parents around there, go and look at the pictures. The parents around there were very sad. She was smiling. It was a photo op. This is a real situation. This is real pains. I go to Northeast. I relate with these people. They don't have food. They don't have where to sleep. They are running up and down. They don't even have security. You see some of these IDP camps. In Yola alone, as at the time we went, there were 2 IDP camps. And one of it had over 6,500 people. In that camp alone, over 13 people had died. Cholera outbreak. You go there, there is no bed for them to sleep. They are sleeping on the floor. A lot of the intervention and support that is coming to them is coming from civil society organizations and faith-based organizations, not like an holistic. Yeah, we know that NEMA is doing its best, but it's below par. When we go to request for data, give us data, and let us know your framework so that we know where civil societies can fit in. If you have done your baseline and you've identified these are the needs, health, economic, and all that, we know where your strength is. So when civil society organization is coming in, we know where to fit in so that we complement that effort, but there is no framework. We are still arguing till date as to the number of IDPs that we have currently in Nigeria. NEMA comes out to say we have just 900 and something IDPs. When in Yola alone, there are over 600,000 IDPs. American University of Nigeria is catering, feeding over 400,000 IDPs on a daily basis. So imagine if that is not in place, who will be assisting them? Yet, they will take relief materials to them, and it will be branded, good luck, PDP 2015. What are we talking about? Who are we deceiving? So there's a whole lot that still needs to be done in terms of responding to this issue.
Reverend Enoch, I'm going to come back to you. Obviously, Bukky is telling us what the minister came to do to try and rebuild the school. You as a parent, what do you think about that gesture?
So we are thinking it's an insult to the Chibok people who are going to that school. Our daughters are still absent. They didn't bring our daughters. They will renovate the school or to build the school so that we bring some other daughters of Chibok so that they will be kidnapped again.
Right.
There is no need of telling us that they are going to build the school. Let them bring back our daughters first of all. Then we will listen to them. But what they are doing, it is not reasonable. It is not reasonable.
Okay. So exactly, as a parent, what would you expect the government, if they were listening now, what would you tell them? What would you tell them? I will
call my interest, or what I will tell the government is let them try their possible best and rescue our daughters. When they rescue our daughters, we know that they have struggled and do their work because the federal government is responsible to bring back our daughters. If the federal government cannot do it, we have no hope, and I have nothing to tell them. Rather, the federal government has sold our daughters into slavery. They have left them to be slaves in their own motherland.
Okay, so if just to ask you, I know this is almost a ridiculous question, but do you have any inclination to exactly where these girls might be? Like, as parents, you must obviously talk amongst yourselves and then you get news. Would you have a rough knowledge of where they could be? Are they still within the borders of Nigeria?
Our daughters?
Yes.
We are sure of where they are. Ever before, when they were kidnapped on 14th of April, really we have been going on and on for good 11 days. They were there close to us. But due to the negligence of the government, the soldiers were able to carry our daughters gently in a simple way. Nobody attempted to attack them or nobody attempted to rescue our daughters. We have been reporting, we have been going to the military and telling them, this is where our daughters are. Help us, let us do something. But they say, don't worry, we are coming up to the time for good 11 days before they carry our daughters and go away with them. We have nothing to tell the federal government apart from, for me, my interest. We are asking the United Nations to come in and help us and rescue our daughters because the federal government is not interested in bringing back our daughters. For how long? For how long? Our soldiers are experienced soldiers. They can do that. But why do the federal government reject to help us?
Okay, so your message right now is you're requesting the United Nations to step in because the Nigerian government has failed to do this. And this is what you are asking in the anniversary of the abduction.
That's my interest because I know the federal government is not interested to rescue our daughters.
Okay. So now, Bukky, can you tell us from your efforts, I know you've spoken to so many different people on so many different levels. What has been the problem? Is it that they're just not paying attention? Is it because the world actually responded in terms of hashtag bring back our girls? There have been demonstrations throughout the whole world. And then recently in France, of course,
the Charlie
Hebdo incident. And then you saw a different picture where millions and heads of states marched. Why would you think there's been that disparity?
One is to say that when the Chibok girls were abducted, the immediate response was disappointing. The immediate response from the federal government, who has the power, the authority, and the wherewithal to take the action, The immediate response was there was no abduction. In fact, it took 19 days for the federal government to acknowledge that there was indeed an abduction. And it took 66 days for them to officially present to the world that we can now confirm that there was an abduction, after they constituted a presidential fact-finding committee that came out with a report. So it was then they acknowledged it. So, however, experts say that when there is an abduction, the first 24 hours is really critical in either the success or the failure of the rescue effort. So if in 24 hours we were still dilly-dally, nothing happened, what do you expect? But not just 24 hours, we're talking about 19 days. That means 24 hours times 19 is when it took us to the federal government to acknowledge that there was indeed an abduction. So what do you expect? So if anything will be done to those girls, 24 hours is long enough, 48 hours is long enough. So the foundational challenge that there was no swift response. This is why we cannot conveniently compare Nigeria's situation with what happened with the Charlie Hebdo issue. With the Charlie Hebdo issue, there was swift response. You could see how even beyond the perpetrators of that evil, they even rescued other people who were in hostage and went after them until they took them down. Guess what that does to the people of France? It tells them that, you know what, our government is on top of our security. The government, so when the whole world responded, and let's compare that with what happened in Nigeria, the whole world responded to France simply because the government, who has the primary responsibility for its own citizens, took action and showed to the world that we care about our people. It's only natural for the whole world to come and rally around. In Yoruba, we will say that it's a child that raises his hand that a mother will carry. If the child does not raise his hand, nobody will carry you. So, but if we keep living in denial, we keep saying there is no problem, we're on top of the situation, how do you expect the whole world to rally around? At the Charlie Hebdo protest, look at the number of presidents that came out to show that we are with you in this problem. Did they do that with Nigeria? No. Simply because the primary owner of that issue, the federal government, did not show that we are really responsible or serious about this issue. So we can't really compare those two situations. However, the federal government of Nigeria needs to understand the importance of a logical closure to this issue. We cannot have abduction of girls and it keeps festering on, going on, nothing is done. God forbid that we have to commemorate April 14th of 2015. It will be a huge shame on the nation state and the integrity and the dignity of Nigeria if we have to commemorate April 14th of 2015. So the important thing is there has to be closure. If federal government wants to bring back these girls, with their political will, they will ensure that they bring back these girls. You can imagine how it is for a parent. You don't know where your child is, and every day you sleep and wake up. It's better for you to at least see where the closure is than for you to just be hoping that something is happening.
Bukky Shonibare, thank you very much for joining us and for giving us an update on exactly how you've been, active with your group, Adopt a Camp, and also the Bring Back Our Girls campaign. Reverend Enoch Mark, thank you very much for joining us, and obviously we're going to be with you in prayer and spirit, and also put the pressure to make sure that you find closure and also hopefully bring these girls back home.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. This is Fungai Maboreke, SaharaTV. Stay tuned for further programming.